Okay, g'day guys. This is take two because before I was doing this video, I was sitting down watching TV. I was watching all the gold shows actually, and what happened? I said, "Oh well, I better get something to munch on." And I got these damn salted peanuts from Aldi, and I was sitting there having a few of these peanuts, these salted peanuts, and I don't know, I got a particle of peanut or something stuck in my throat, and yeah, it completely stuffed the previous video because I started coughing my head off and and all the rest of it. So I grabbed a beer, and you know, a good beer is a good way of washing these sort of things away. Now I'll tell you what, I don't usually plug anything, but I'm going to this one I'm going to plug because no joke, this beer, all right. It says Holtland, right? Premium lager. It's 4.2%. Strange juice or ethanol or alcohol, and it's from Belgium. Sorry, and it's Belgian. So Holtland. I got this through a little local shop, yeah. I was having a little bit of a read. Yeah, it's very natural by the look of it. A lot of writing on it, but and you get a 10-cent refund on these cans too. The thing is, they had them up at the local little alcohol shop. It used to be called the Hole Shop because it was owned by a guy called Darren Hole. That was his name. And I kept seeing these things on my Visa card saying the Hole Shop. And I went, what the hell's that? I thought it was something to do with golf course or something. But it actually was his name. And he sold it anyway. But still called the Hole Shop for some reason. Well, I don't understand. But yeah, these $2 a can. And it's really, really good. I'm a bit of a connoisseur with beers because I used to make my own. I used to brew up all sorts of beers and, spirits, yeah, in another life. Well, they do it in Australia, but you can make essential oils, can't you? And it has to be under 5 litres pot. But anyway, in New Zealand, you can do what you want. Anywhere else, you can probably do what you want as well. But Australia, nanny country. So anyway, I've got that just to clear the throat, and it says brewed in Belgium. So I tell you what, I recommend this. It's $2 a can. So any other beer, what is it? Probably about $5 or something. But cheers. Oh, it feels so good. Anyway, what I was going to go on about this time around, and because I did that video on the 4500 I've done up, I had this 5000 here. Now, there's a history to this 5000, or not particularly this 5000. Well, have a look at it. It looks brand new, right? I don't think it's being used. It came in here for standard upgrades and modifications. But the fellow that sent it has seen the video on the 4500, the one I've gone and basically nearly re-chipped the whole thing with really good modern components. And he said this is in an email because it's from overseas. And basically it was along the lines of, how much is it going to cost to do the whole thing? Like, re-chip the whole thing, make it into the best detector ever. I mean, just do everything you can. And basically that is just going to be a massive amount of labor. It'll take ages to do. I can't just go done. Like I say, always say it's the removal, clean up, and then the replacement, and and all the little fine tuning and all the rest that goes into it. So it's going to be a lot of work. I'm not a human pick and place machine. I can't do it like 60,000 parts per hour. It's just time consuming, and I've got to put everything else on hold and hoe into this on that basis. And I said, well, I don't know. It's going to be a lot of hours. And he said to me, he goes, oh, would $15,000 cover it? And I went, I said, God, I'd say that would cover it easy. And he goes, I don't really care. I want the best detector that you can make out of using a 5,000 as a starting block. And so I had a bit of a ponder, and I sort of thought, what can we do here? It is going to be a lot of work. And, it's basically, you don't have an end point. You just keep going. So I thought that it needs a complete new front end in it. And for this one, it wants to have variable gain, but I've got to do that in a different way than how I normally do it. And being a 5,000, the 5,000s do have an initial front end lower gain. They just do. And I thought, well, actually, if I do everything else what I was doing through the whole detector, maybe I can bump that right up. And maybe I can actually, instead of being, a gain of 34, I can make it a gain of 48, like the standard older versions of 4500s, because they still work very well. It's just that they need taming down. And they do go deeper. They really do. I've done side-by-sides, and on bigger targets, they definitely go deeper. So then I'm thinking, well, we've got the fine gold in there, which is a real troublesome thing to deal with, especially when you want to up the gain or you want to increase the overall transmit-receive clocking rate, more samples per given time period. So I thought about it, and I said, well, okay, I'll give it a go. So this has come in just basically for standard upgrades, but he's seen the video and now he wants the works. And we've done other detectors for this fellow, and we've also done some very big coils for him, and I mean big. What were they? It was something ridiculous. David took like 2 days to make one of the big coils. I think it was 200 inches or something. And there's 100-inch coils, it's 80-inch coils. There's all sorts of these flexible ones that he puts on a framework and drags them. But we'll say some parts of it. Okay, we're not going to say who it is. That's a major thing that I won't do. But it's not just for gold, right? It's not for gold. It's in another country, and in the other country, they have big silver, and some of this silver, it's just big conglomerate silver. I don't know if it's nuggets. It can be this big, huge, big lumps of silver. So, and then we've done this for other people before. They go hunting these big chunks of silver over in, well, it's over in the US area. Okay, so we'll narrow it down there. And for some reason, there's these big hunks. We don't get it here in Australia, but over there, they get these massive chunks of silver. And you can get like easy, $5, $10, $15,000 chunks of silver. It's definitely worthwhile digging up. And that's what they want the big coils for. But it's not the only reason why people want the big coils. And saying no names again, and I'm not going to narrow it down at all, but one of the guys was using the big coils with some modified older detectors, and he's looking for nickel iron meteorites. And, there's me. I've had big chunks of the Diablo meteorite from Arizona, and I didn't think much of it, right? And I think I gave it away to someone. Then I realised it was worth a fortune, and I slapped myself. But it's just what happened. And then I did a bit more research, and then one of the fellas told me that with the modified detector and the big coil, uh, how about this? Okay, over $100,000 US of meteorites in 1 month. Right? Okay, 100. Well, actually, a lot more than $100,000. I'm just putting it there so it's not too accurate. So I'm thinking to myself, what? Why are these meteorites worth so much? They are. People collect them, and what I did a bit of research, and what they do with these big iron or nickel iron meteorites is when they come through the atmosphere and they get red hot and everything else they do, they have a very interesting pattern. The way it all forms on the inside, it must melt and harden up again or something as it comes through the atmosphere. And this has happened probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago. They've embedded in the ground, completely covered up. You don't know they're there. So you go and use a dirty big coil and a low frequency detector, and you pick these things up, and you've got to dig a great whopping big hole and hoist these things up. And they slab them into slabs, like they cut them. They must cut them with a diamond saw, and they do this, and it comes up with this absolute magnificent, shiny pattern on these nickel iron meteorites, and collectors go crazy for them. The more patterning, the bigger. There's a whole heap of criteria that they look at the value of these things, and it's a massive collector's market for these meteorites. I knew there was something out there like that, but I didn't know it was so damn big, and I didn't know it was worth a lot of money. So you got people out there looking for gold, but then you got people out there looking for meteorites. And another one too, over in Europe, mainly we got customers that request interesting things from time to time, and mainly from Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, and some of the Hungary and Poland as well, and a bit of Russia. We shouldn't say Russia, should we? Yeah. Anyway, what's over there? And this is unbelievable what these guys want the detectors for. Over millennia, there's been lots of tribal leaders and kings and whatever. I don't know what you call them. We'll call them the kings. And say over 2,000 years, how many kings have there been? And when they die, they get buried in these like tombs underground, and there's all this gold stuff in there. There's tons of gold. All I've seen is gold. I haven't seen silver. It's all gold, right? It's gold everything. And these big tombs over many years, they get whittled down. They just look like a little bit of a rise in the ground, as far as I know. I've spoken to some people over there about it, and anyway, they probably don't want me saying too much about it. But these mounds, and they go over looking for these mounds, and they put the big coils over, and if there's anything of value, it goes off. You know, they get a signal, and they go down on the perimeter looking for the old entrance, which is probably blocked off. I don't know the whole ins and outs of it, but inside, they get inside, and there is lots and lots of artifacts. And, you know, I don't even know if I should mention it, but, you know, I don't know what happens. Where does it go? Does it go to the government? Does it go to the museum? Do they get a finder's fee? Or does it go on the black market? I don't know. It's out of my control. Don't know. And don't ask too many questions, I suppose. But these guys are, you know, always saying, can you make this size coil? Can you make the detector do this on this size target and this sort of stuff? And of course, you know, I don't know if they're, you know, tomb robbers or they're looking for the mother lode. I don't know. I just hear it afterwards. So anyway, you make this stuff up. It's just a, you know, standard mark. If you don't make it from, someone else will make it. and whatever they're doing, up to them. I don't know the legalities of it. I don't know, because I'm not over there. I'm not overseeing it. I don't know. So these guys make a fortune. The guys finding the meteorites make a fortune. There's meteorites everywhere. There was a fellow I've spoken to who actually in the Arctic used a powered what do you want to call it? Like an ultralight aircraft, but it was like a paraglider with a motor on it or something. And he used to go in the Arctic, just on the ice sheets, and fly around until he'd see a rock on the surface. And then he'd land, and it was a meteorite. It would just hit the ice sheets and skid across and eventually stop. And he was finding meteorites that way, just out in the Arctic. So, you probably got the same in the Antarctic territories down south here. There's probably massive ice areas, and there's rocks sitting on the ice or just below or whatever. But you can spot them if you fly over them, and land and dig them up and put them in your backpack, unless they're like this big. But it's amazing. You just don't know this stuff exists. I didn't know it existed until people tell me. They don't want to tell you at first, but then they sort of say, well, they got to tell you because they got to explain what they want it for, what they want the technology to be honed in on. Or you're looking for gold, or you're looking for iron. It's a big difference to a degree. And how big's your targets, and frequencies of the detectors, size of coils, all the rest. Anyway, let's get back onto this. So anyway, this is basically what I can tell looks like a nearly brand new 5000. It's got the original sticker on it. It's got writing on the back side, on this side, so I'm not going to show that. But that is going to be done to the max. So I don't know the overall pricing of what it's going to be, but there's a lot of leeway there. And by the way, that pricing's in US dollars, not Australian pesos, US dollars. So, God, that's look, the guy's willing to spend over 20 grand getting his detector modified. So it'll do. Oops, it had some details on the back there. I better put it around that way. But it's just, it's a big ask, and it's a lot of work. But we'll see what we do. And when we do it, we'll test it out. But, the 4500 absolutely goes unbelievable. That is so damn unreal. And just as a matter of interest, I did take it out because how it was so noisy when I did the previous video. It was so noisy here. I went out in the Canadian forest away from the power lines, turned it on. The mono one's quiet as a mouse. It just is purring. So, like I say, there's still more to go on that as well. So now I've got this to do. So that's going to be a really, really interesting project. And then I can compare the 5000 against the 45. I would say that they will be on par on every aspect, because I'll get the gain up in the 5000 from where it is. But what we're going to do is just make sure that the way I do it allows fine gold to work over a huge range of frequencies, and also the ability to ground balance on a lot of different material. So we'll see how it goes. It should, from my initial observations, we should be able to do it. So yeah, it's going to be one hell of a job though. And yeah, I think you'll be happy. I think he's found enough money to cover it. So, but yeah, this is new to me about the meteorite stuff. I didn't know there was so much money in it. I thought, meteorite, $100 or something, or $200. No. thousands and thousands of dollars for the nickel iron meteorites. And you think if they're in places like the US, well, they'll be here too. They will be all over the whole world. And there's no reason why they just go, well, we're going to go and, land in Alaska or something like that, or land in Canada or wherever. It's not, meteorites are not place specific. They don't have like GPS on them and they go, oh, we're going to go and hit Alaska and Alaska and Alaska. They hit everywhere. They just pepper the earth. So, when you look at it, look, I'm thinking to myself, well, where are you going to get the most impact? Where's the most gravity from the earth to some object? But these things hammer in at massive speed, so you don't know if there's much gravitational pull. You'd be thinking because the earth itself is not really round, it's more like this. So you'd think you get more of a gravity pull on the equator. That's my thinking. And just because of mass to center. And they should hit the equator, but they don't. They hit the poles. A lot of them hit the poles. So, and also just below the poles as well, in particular areas. So, guys, is it worthwhile changing the thinking? What I'm saying is, especially out in the flats of Western Australia, is that hot rock really a hot rock? Have you actually picked up a hot rock and gone, and just tossed it over the shoulder and you threw away a couple of $1,000s? That's my thinking on this. Is it at all possible that some of the hot rocks are actually meteorites? They are nickel iron. And they're going to sound off like a hot rock or, a Kalgoorlie type hot rock, which are nearly iron anyway. And, basically, let's look at these. Are these really just iron nodules? Or are they meteorites that everyone's been complaining about for years? Normally, if it was a meteorite, they should be depending on the mass, they should be like a teardrop shape, rounded at the front and sort of a bit of a tail on them. That's how I've seen them. But big ones may not be. Big ones may hit the atmosphere, slow down enough and just stay in a ball or something, or some sort of ellipse, some sort of shape like that. So are these meteorites? What you want to do is, guys, I'm just thinking outside the box here. Maybe you should collect things like this if you don't know what they are. Especially, these are pretty rough around they're smooth, but they're rough. They've got lots of divots, lots of ins and outs, but they're relatively smooth. So I don't know, unless I cut it open with a diamond saw and had a look at what's inside it, I wouldn't have the faintest idea. And I'm not going to do that. I really don't know. But imagine if some of these are meteorites, and if they've got the patterning inside, they're worth good money. You slab them up. People make all sorts of stuff out of them. They put them on displays. They make jewelry out of it. They do all sorts. So I'm just saying, it's everyone's out looking for gold. Gold is money. Meteorites are money as well. And are these sort of things we find? Look, I've thrown away so many hot rocks over the years. I would have thrown away half a ton. Right. Am I throwing away valuable items? I don't know. I never ever really thought about it. In the early days when I was detecting that, I always thought meteorites were made out of stone, like teakites or whatever they were called, techites or teakites, or however they're pronounced. I don't know. but maybe it's worthwhile investigating. Some of this hot rock material, it may not be. And, as far as I can tell, that might be worth $500. I don't know. I really don't know. I've seen big ones like this. They're worth tens of thousands of dollars. So just one of those things, isn't it? That they're out there and they could be anywhere. Where could they be? I'll tell you where a lot of them will end up. And I keep going on about those paleo channels. They don't have to be deep paleo channels. They can be shallow ones. And you could just, like I was saying, we used to do with the 2000 with the manual ground balance. We used to offset the ground balance just so it'd be a bit more touchy on any sort of ironstone heavy materials, magnetite, or black sands and stuff like that. And we used to go along and we get this, I've said it in my previous video, to get a raise in the noise. And what you do is you'd see if it extends, not just some sort of localized mineral event, but you'd try and go, east, west, north, south, whatever, all points of the compass, and see if you've got a continuation of it. And if it was a continuation, it would probably indicate there was an old river that was buried, and it could be full of gold as well. But that's a likely place you're going to find meteorites, because millions of years ago, everything got washed in. Heavy gold, meteorites are heavy. They should all be sitting down there. I'm just thinking about even here in Ballarat in the old gutters, 250 feet under where we are, where the land came down like so, and it's tons and tons of gold. But I wonder how many meteorites got thrown out by the old timers as well, into the mullock heaps. We don't want that. That's not shiny. Oh, dear me. Or how many meteorites got thrown into the stamper batteries and never got stamped? It just gum up the works. Banging on iron and nickel is not going to go anywhere. So I think it's quite amazing overall. You think about these things, and it's just amazing. I don't know if even people like me talking about this, if they're involved in those activities, but the world's a big place. It really is. It's like enough for everybody. It's like if you said something about someone finding gold, and you don't say where. You say, oh, they're finding gold in Victoria. Well, so what? Big place. Well, they're finding meteorites somewhere over in the US. It's a big place. And I'm not really giving anything away, but I'm just saying there's a lot of money in it. It could be a sideline. You get your gold and you get your meteorites. So, everyone running around discriminating detectors, maybe you're doing yourself a disservice. Or that's ferrous. I'm not digging that up. Well, oh, sorry. Poor you. I really, I'm amazed. It's just everyone needs to be enlightened to the possibilities of what it can be. Is it a hot rock? Is it not? So the only way you're going to find out is cut it open, or just take a cut off the end of it, so you don't, cut it up wrong, because there's probably, as far as I remember, there's a particular orientation of meteorites you want to cut. You don't want to cut that way. You want to cut that way, and whatever way that is, you don't know. I suppose you're going to nick the end of it and find out. I'm not an expert on meteorites, except the only thing I know about meteorites, I wrote an article 15 years ago about the Cranbourne meteorites, and the meteorites were the size of a small four-cylinder car, and there was numerous meteorites, and I think there's one at the Cranbourne, out the front of the Cranbourne Council, and if a nickel iron one, it's probably worth a few $1 million sitting out the front. I don't know. It's over in Cranbourne, near Dandenong, which is in Victoria. There was they found them in a line in paddocks, in just open ground at the time. It's probably houses on them now, I don't know. But they were very big. And if you want to try and find the article, it's called Cranbourne or Cranbourne, if you want to spell it, Cranbourne. Cranbourne, meteorites. And you can find it online, and you can read up about these massive meteorites that were all embedded at whatever depth it was. I think it was something like 3 meters, 10 feet, something like that. And they're in a line over a couple of kilometers or a mile and a half or something. And the thing is there more? Did they find them all, or is there bigger ones that way and more smaller ones that way? No, I don't know. I would say, logically, there should be more meteorites, that came in on this line. And if you do the research on it, maybe there's some open ground there where there might be some meteorites buried. I don't even know how they were found. I've got no idea. Maybe some excavation, and they found one, and someone said, "Hey, that's a meteorite," and then they said, "Oh, hang on, it came in this way." Looked at the way the ground was moved, and then they found the others. But there might be more. Who knows? Maybe one 5, 10 k's, or 5 or so miles up the road that way, because they came in. They're all like this. So it's a very interesting read about these meteorites, but they're big, they're huge. And I think, there was one, somewhere in Cranbourne, there's one on display somewhere. It's at the front of something. It might be at the front of the local library. So it might be a couple of $1 million of meteorites sitting there. Shouldn't even say that, should I? Because someone will go and steal it with a tow truck or something. But these things are out there. I don't know. I think they're iron nickel meteorites too. I did do a lot of research. Like I say, it's 15 years ago, and a lot of water under the bridge. But have a read of it. Find my Gold, Gem and Treasure article where I got information from Trove on this from whenever it happened. I think it was around the turn of the century before last, 1800 and something and rather, they were discovered. And so I got information there. I got newer information. I got information from the Museum of Victoria, and I put it all together and made an article. So it was called the Cranbourne, but the locals say Cranbourne, but it's Ourne, so it's Cranbourne, however you want to say it. Anyone out of the area says Cranbourne, but anyone who lives there says Cranbourne. So whatever, but just got to know the spelling of the place. So have a look at that, because it could give some insight on some of the meteorites that have hit around the place. And, it might be a life-changing event, finding a big one. We've dealt with a few people over the years who have actually done meteorites, and some of the stuff, the feedback, the stories of them is unreal. Some of them are really, really deep and very far down, and have to have a lot of work done to hoist them up. But some of them are huge, and they're worth a lot of money. And you got to remember too, for meteorites, in different countries, or it might even be different states, there's different laws about meteorites. If you are allowed to keep them, or do you have to hand them into the museum? I have my own opinion on that, actually, to what really occurs, because it's like what happened in the UK on the if you find treasure. And what was happening is people would find stuff, the old stuff from 1,000 years ago or whatever, king's treasure hoards buried on a field, whatever else. and it would just go to the black market. It just disappear because there was no benefit, gifting it to the government. Basically, no personal benefit. Maybe a benefit to the culture of the country, but a lot of people don't give a stuff about that, do they? And well, it's true, they don't give a stuff about it because they're just greedy. And some people I can understand because they're damn well destitute. But what they did is they changed it so that you had to call in some person who looked at that stuff, and you'd say, here, this. And if the museum wanted it, they had to pay you for it. It had to be a fair price. And if they didn't want it, you could keep it. I think that's how it worked. It's over in the UK, it works like that. And that's a good system, really, because people would say, well, I found all this, and it may be culturally sensitive. Here, check it out. Now, if you don't want it, well, I'm going to go and melt it down into gold bars. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to sell it to collectors and whatever. I don't know the rules, the law, the legislation. I don't know because I'm not living in the UK. But I know that sort of stuff happens. A lot of countries is finders keepers, and there's a lot of countries. In Australia, look, I tell you what, this is a beauty, right? And this applies in Australia. There's a law, and I don't know what states it's in. I know it's in Victoria. There's a law. It's called theft by finding. I'm not joking. Theft by finding. How draconian is that? So what it basically means, if you find something of value, right, you got to go and hand it into the local police station. You'll never see it again. Right? No, it is. It's actually a law. So if you're at metal detecting and you find, this is technically correct. If you find a gold ring, a watch, a bracelet, a wallet with a couple of coins in the corner and full of notes, whatever, you're meant to hand it in, right? You're meant to hand it in. And if it's not claimed within a certain time period, you're meant to get it back, right? I'll re-emphasize this. You are meant to get it back. Do you get it back? Well, I can elaborate on this. I've actually known a few police officers over the years. A couple of them are quite crazy, and two of them are pretty normal. But I won't go into that too much because I just shake my head on some of it. For what goes on, I'm just amazed. But what was told to me is that something would be handed in that was like of significant value. And okay, well, look, just so that people don't jack up and carry on like a pork chop, what would happen, right, is that someone would communicate to a relative the scenario, and the relative, because there's different last names and all the rest, would front up and say, oh, I've lost la 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 la, right? And that person would, because they could explain and describe it perfectly, would receive it. No, I'm not joking. This has happened, but I'm going back. Let's hope there's a statute of limitations here. I'm going back 25 or 30 years, maybe more, where this sort of stuff, I was told, happens. So that's why I made the joke about will you get it? Maybe not. So technically, every ring you find at the beach, every bracelet, watch, wallet, purse, car keys, right? You you could be charged with theft by finding by not handing it in. It's actually a law. I'm not joking. It is a law. In Victoria, I know it's a fact. It's a law. Look it up in the statutes. Um, and there's some funny laws here. Did you know there's a law that says you are not allowed to supply a child a imitation firearm in any shape, form whatsoever? I'm not joking. This is fair income. This is on the books. And it actually means water pistols, the things that pop foam darts. Jeff Kennett brought that law in, right? It was about exposing children to firearms or facsimile firearms. So you have all these Chinese shops selling all these make look like guns and stuff. They're actually breaking the law. So people just forget this stuff. They just forget it, or maybe it's not enforced because they thought it was stupid. But all these plastic guns out there, to supply them to a child, even a parent supplying it to a child, is breaking the law. It's actually illegal. It's never been repealed, as far as I know. So, yeah, it's funny laws. Victoria is a land of weird laws, and a lot of them are really antiquated and outdated, and just shake your head at. But if you want to have more strange laws, especially in prospecting, have a look at Tasmania. They got some bizarre laws over there, and it's always the government wants to get their cut, or have some interest in it, or the greenies want to stop you doing anything. It's like I said in the last video about the national parks. We're going to block off all the tracks, no access. And I just said, well, guess what happened in the Grampians? It all went up in flames. And great, don't let the people in, but just watch it all burn. Fantastic, How many roasted koalas do you want? I don't know. It's stupid. What are the national parks for? For people to enjoy. Open the bloody things up. Stop being, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know if a word exists to express stupidity at that level, where you block off access tracks. And like I keep saying, go to Creswick, big forest. Hey, there was a big fire there in Creswick the other week. I wonder how many tracks the fire brigade tried to get down, and they all had boulders blocking them off. Fair income. Absolute stupidity, in my opinion. But, it probably happens in all national parks. We can't let them go there. They're gonna disturb the wombat burrow over on there on the left, or some bloody crap. It's just total stupidity. I'm just speaking my mind, because you lock people out, you lock vehicular access, and it catches on fire. Well, guess what? We'll stand on the perimeter and just watch it all burn to the ground. So, I'm being a bit pedantic, and I'm probably waffling on, but, I don't really want to make a single video about stupidity in our national parks and recreational reserve areas, or whatever there is, public access, Crown land. Let's block it off. You can't get in there. You can't, I don't know, go and breathe on the gum trees or something. I got no idea what the bloody thought process is on this stuff. It needs to be changed. You need access roads through all these areas, because it's all full of eucalypts, which are full of eucalyptus oil that goes off like a bloody atomic bomb. You heat it up enough. You want to see the fire race through the top of trees. Unbelievable. It'll do 100 kilometers an hour. Just go woof, flames 500 feet high. Unbelievable stuff. And the heat. I was at Jamison in eastern Victoria when it went up around Woods Point and those areas down there. It just completely decimated the place. And a lot of the tracks around there weren't maintained. Had trees fallen over. Fire brigade try and get in there, can't get in. Just watch it all burn. There's no maintenance. There's no common sense. It's just we'll close off as many tracks as we can, and you can't access it anymore. What do? You can't educate stupidity sometimes. You just can't. And I will say that it's stupidity, because our bush burns, and it burns just about every year, and you want to block it off. Fantastic. The other thing is too, sometimes they block off one end and they don't block off another access. So what happens, you're in the middle of the place, catch it on fire, you want to get out and you're trapped. So, maybe one day someone's going to get cooked or partially cooked or lose their vehicle, and they can sue the hell out of the government department. It may happen, may not, but yeah, I'm all for common sense, and I'm all against stupidity, right? Yeah, some stupid stuff happens. Yeah. So on that note, I'm so glad Trump got in over in the US, because those Democrats and their policies are totally stupid. Anyone watching the US politics, especially, I look at it, I go, are you completely crazy? Just open up the borders, let them all in. Oh, Jesus, unbelievable. Why don't you just pump them in by aircraft, fill up 747s or something, and just land them in the middle? Unbelievable. These are my opinions, and you just shake your head at it. You just do. You shake your head. You go, what are you doing? Anyway, enough of that. The poor Americans paying for all these illegals, putting them up in hotels, giving them, food vouchers, sending them off to supermarkets, and oh, gee, my taxes at work. I'll tell you what, if I was over there, I'd be so far right wing it wouldn't be funny. Oh dear me. Oh dear. Oh, I just can't understand that place. Anyway, hopefully, so yeah, if I lived over, I'd vote Trump. And a lot of little lefties would go, oh, how dare you say that? But bad luck. It's my opinion. But yeah, here in Australia, well, I think we're coming up for some elections as well. I know I'm waffling on, but I just like getting it out there. I can't talk to the missus about it. She has no understanding about Australian politics. So yeah, it's sort of limited. So I vent myself on YouTube. But yeah, don't get me started about Albanese, the Labor Party. I'm not saying anything. I'm just pulling faces. Yeah, the whole lot of them, actually. I don't know. I don't trust politicians overall. The only one I've seen who seems to have his, he's doing the right thing by the country is Trump. I really think Trump's doing a good job. And most of the others, financial gain. It's all financial gain. Getting there, rape and pillage, It's funny, you see politicians go in there on their base salaries, and next minute they're all multi-millionaires. Oh, how's that happen? And the average Joe Blow, just totally not aware of it. If you want to find out about it all, go on, subscribe to Twitter, or X, what they call it now, and just have a look at some of the stuff. You'd be absolutely gobsmacked. And a lot of it now is fact-checked by not left-leaning people who just go, oh, that's rubbish, rubbish, rubbish. It's actually true. A lot of it's true. And just have a look, and you'll just be gobsmacked how somebody earning, whatever they earn, $170,000 a year as a politician sitting there, suddenly have wealth of $100 million. Very interesting. Don't know how that happens. Must be very good at playing the share market or something. I don't know. Or have a look at Nancy Pelosi's portfolio and her share tradings. They say she's beaten the market, everyone in the market, no matter who it is, multiples over time. How does that happen? I don't know. It's a bit interesting, isn't it? But yep, just shake your head. Great. Yeah. So on that note, I'm going to leave it there. I've waffled on too much, but there's a lot of probably a lot of info in there, especially on detectors, meteorites, and the value of all that stuff. I'm amazed how much it's worth. So maybe if you can't find gold, go looking for meteorites. Go dig up all those ferrous targets. You know, definitely probably well worth it. Do some research. Have a look at the Cranbourne one. See how far. I think they went east to west, so you can go and work out the line of those. And imagine if you get on the property that hasn't got a house built on it, you can probably go over and put a big drag coil over it and see if you can get a big meteorite. If the property owner lets you do that. So, or you can fly over with a magnetometer type thing. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just waffling on. Yeah, 11 o'clock, nearly pumpkin hour. I'm going to finish my beer and go to bed. Catches.